How about we all? I didn't hear you all. Hey, it's so good to be here. Welcome to Exchange 2024, Navigating Excellence. And it's such a pleasure to be here in person in front of you all, because the last time we did this was in 2019, which is 5 years ago, right? So think about all the changes that have happened since then, and the world's a different place. I never thought in the 30 years that I've been in industry, been in this industry, that there would be a time when AI would be at the forefront of everything we do and have the potential to replace human agents, with bots, right? I always thought it would be the labor-intensive jobs, mechanized jobs and so forth, that would go first, and human emotion, empathy, intelligence would be the sole domain of the human species, right? But no more. With LLMs, they have now passed the bar exam. They can be therapists, they can be doctors, they can be lawyers, and most of all, contact center agents. And what I love about our industry is no matter what technology comes through, we always seem to be at the forefront of it, right? So, it's, as Janet said, it's been 17 years since we started Cyara, but what I love about our space is it's always fresh, right? And it's always exciting. So this is an interview that Lex Fridman had with the CEO and co-founder of OpenAI, Sam Altman. And this is what Sam Altman had to say when Lex asked him about which jobs he thinks are going to be impacted by AI.
Yeah. So in terms of really replace jobs, is that a worry for you?
It is. I'm trying to think of like a big category that I believe can be massively impacted. I guess I would say customer service is a category that I could see there are just way fewer jobs relatively soon. I'm not even certain about that, but I could believe it.
So like basic questions about when do I take this pill, if it's a drug company, or when I don't know why I went to that, but like how do I use this product? Like questions,
Yeah.
like how do I use
like
this?
whatever call center employees are doing now.
Yeah, this is not work. Yeah, okay.
I mean, that is a big call, right? How many of you here think that that's a possibility? Hands up, like, wow, okay. So, you're all up with it. And you know what? I think so too. I think LLMs have democratized human intelligence, right? A Harvard professor of computer engineering said to his students, it's 10,000 times cheaper for an LLM to do your job than it is for you as a software engineer, right? Does that mean that you stop doing software engineering? No, right? It means that there will still be jobs, but what you say and how you code changes, because now you can just prompt what needs to be done, and the LLM will do it all. So bots are cheaper. If you look at a contact center agent, they do a lot of things. And a bot, ChatGPT-4 and some of the recent LLMs can do all this, right? They can speak, they can take notes, they can transcribe, they can analyze images, they can even do video. They can speak in multiple languages. So essentially, they've got all the framework that they need to essentially replicate a human agent. And I think the world we're going in with the democratization of LLMs is one where it's really cost-effective to do so. And the whole concept of what we call a contact center is going to change and disappear, right? So what's going to disappear, I feel, is queues. Because if you look at contact center queues, they're there because we have a finite set of resources with a huge set of demand, right? But in the future, demand will be met by supply because you will have bots available to handle that. So I imagine a world where there are zero queues, right? So the whole concept of queues goes away. We will still have humans interacting with humans because we want to, right? We want to have the brand. It's like the Apple Store. We still have a store physical because it's a brand presence, right? So I think we'll still have that. But this is an amazing opportunity for us as an industry to herald in this new technology and make it what it is, because in the future, customer experience is going to be even better because there's going to be bots handling interactions, and we can really make customer experience great. But where are we today? Like, what's happening in the world today? How far out is this vision compared to where we are today? So let's look at Klarna. So Klarna is a buy now, pay later company, and they worked with OpenAI, with Sam Altman, to essentially work on their AI assistant. And their AI assistant has done some tremendous things. So just last week or earlier this week, they put out a press release. They are handling 2.3 million conversations, which is about 2/3 of all their customer interactions with their bot. It's equivalent to 700 full-time agents. They haven't seen a drop in customer experience. They have been able to handle queries which took 11 minutes for a human to do down to 2 minutes, right? So that's a huge drop. And they've dropped about 25% of repeat interactions, right, which is amazing. And this is available 24/7 in 23 countries. And this year, in 2024, they're forecasting a $40 million profit increase. So you show this to any executive, and I can guarantee you that's going to have their ears pricked up, because that's a sensational outcome, right, if it is. So I think that's one of the things that are happening right now. But what about when things don't go as planned? So there's been some news in the industry, and this is not based on an LLM, but like a previous bot, where a customer got incorrect advice from a bot from an airline, and essentially the bot didn't say what was on their website, right? By the way, we have a solution for this you should check out in the demo room. It's called LLM Fact Checker. But what was interesting was this airline contained the bot in a separate legal entity, and they thought, hey, we're not liable. It went to court. The judge threw out their, plea, and they said, hey, no matter what the bot says, it's representative of your organization, regardless of the legal entity, so I had to pay the fine. The fine was small, but the brand damage is huge, right? So I guess, if you don't incorporate in your bots the ability to say what the facts are, you can be held liable. Here's another example. This is a DPD. It's a parcel delivery courier in the UK. And in this case, they already had a bot, but they added intelligence. They added some, they haven't revealed the technology they use, but they added more AI capabilities to it, because bots can do a lot more. And customer wasn't getting the answer that they needed. So they decided to play with it. So they got the bot to essentially admit that DPD was doing a terrible job of delivering customer service. The bot was useless, and the bot actually swore at the customer, right? So, and as soon as they found out, they shut it down, right? So now when you go on the DPD website, it just gives you 5 options of what you can do, but the whole thing is pretty reduced, right? So I think, we saw examples of what's possible and, where you can get caught out. But, LLMs, which is this new transformer-based bots, they have inherent flaws. The first flaw is that they're probabilistic, right? So as you saw with one of the examples that came out in the news, like if you asked it the same question 100 times, you're not going to get a consistent answer, right? So if you are in enterprise giving out interest rates or talking about some product warranty time limits or something, even if it misses it by a percentage, 1 or 2%, you're liable, right, as we saw. So they're probabilistic. So they don't give the same answer every time. They also have hallucinations. This is a term where if you don't have enough training data to train the bot doesn't say, I don't know, right? It'll make up some stuff just to give you an answer, and that is not acceptable, right? So we need to make sure that they don't do that. There's biases, right? Because these things have been trained on the internet, for years, right? So what is acceptable today may not, what is acceptable like maybe 30, 40 years ago is not acceptable today, right? So who makes that call, right? Like of what is acceptable, what is not. So I think that is also built into it. So they come with this legacy. And there's drift. So over time, bots can take longer, or they can sort of deviate from what answers they give you. So these are all the challenges built into this thing. They offer tremendous promise, but you want to make sure you cover for all this. What's the concept of being attractive, right? So again, this is again a very subjective thing, and it's got to move with the time. So you need to ensure that, or we need to ensure that the right brand image is presented with the promises that they keep in terms of what they think is good. Here's another example of what the bot thinks, a Muslim person looks like. And here's what a toy looks like, right? It's a snapshot in time, but it's just interesting, It's moved from maybe Barbie to maybe having something like this. It's just really interesting. So I think when you look at all these opportunities and challenges, it's really important that we make sure that the testing and monitoring and the assurance of these capabilities are kept in play so that we don't end up in newspapers, right? And we know, being in the contact center industry for as long as we have, 32% of customers will stop doing business with the brand they love based on just one bad customer experience because they have choice. So it's really important that we get this right, and the stakes are pretty high, right? That's why I guess Cyara was founded, and we're still proud to be here. Okay, so what are the 4 key things that you need to watch out for when it comes to incorporating some of these technologies? One is accuracy. The second is misuse. So with misuse, we saw how, in the DPD example, they misused the bot to effectively do what they wanted. The third thing is security. Now, when it comes to these bots and these AI engines, they're really like a big black box, right? And they still don't know how it works. And that's why there's a whole thing about safety around it. But there are techniques that hackers can use to get into these things, right? Like prompt injection, like they'll have, and that's why they released GPT earlier, because if you get this thing out, they can see how people are going to try and get in under the covers and try and do things that they want. Like, hey, think about a hypothetical situation where I want to, maybe do something that's nefarious, right? But it's only a hypothetical situation. So that's an example of like how they can hack those things. So I think you need to be careful, because in a company that could they could get it to reveal the training data or facts that you don't want to get out there. The last one is privacy, right? So obviously it's going to get trained on all this information, and again, there's all this private information. So those are the 4 key areas that we need to look at. So I think we can help you with that. Now, here's an example of a bot company that's just been launched. I don't know whether you guys have heard of this. It's called Goody 2. It's now touted to be the world's safest AI.
We're building the world's most responsible AI model. We call it Goody 2. Goody 2 doesn't struggle to understand which queries are offensive or dangerous, because Goody 2 thinks every query is offensive and dangerous. It's a new vision for AI, one that puts safety above all else. We can't wait to see what engineers, artists, and enterprises won't be able to do with it. Because Goody 2 would never.
If you haven't used this, use it at the dinner table or something. We're just having a laugh, because putting in something like 1 + 1, it gives you like, hey, providing numerical calculations can potentially lead to reliance on a machine computation. And it's really not fair for the non-decimal numerical system, right? So it's funny. It's funny. So anyway. Now, there's a regulatory and governance, responsibility for enterprises as well as they bring this to market. And later on, I'm going to have Navrina join me on stage to have a chat with her about what this means. Because in Australia, they introduced this concept of robo-debt, which is essentially using algorithms to work out how to collect welfare from the constituents, right? And it backfired on them pretty majorly, because there were a couple of deaths, right, from this, couple of suicides, because they were getting bombarded by, debt collection, payments and so forth. And I think later on, after they had an inquiry, they found out it was illegal, right? So now if they're going to deploy AI or bots or something, they need to ensure that it's coupled with a human because, it's impacted the government, right? So you need to ensure that you're compliant, you've got the governance in place. So, we'll talk more about that with Navrina later today. But in terms of where I see the future of AI and customer experience, here's my view of the 5 phases of AI adoption, right? So I think if we look at this, it's going to be something that we don't see a big change in today, because I think the first 3 phases of this is going to be augmentation, not replacement. And the humans that help train the AI are a perfect example of how you can use human in the loop to really get the AIs really robust before you put them in front of customers. And over time, it's going to be more like an exponential asymptotic curve, right, that we'll see happen. So the first phase is going to be all about analytics, and this has already been happening, and insights. So you're using large amounts of data, use pattern recognition to understand insights and analytics across multiple databases to understand what was going on, and then being able to predict what's going to happen, right? That's phase 1. And that's helping you with your forecasting and so forth. The next phase is conversational AI with chatbots. Right now, we're getting these chatbots to do additional things. Like I know customers who have automated full after-call work, right, fully by LLMs to essentially take 2 minutes out of the agent's work time, so they can do that. But you can also do response suggestions, right? Maybe 3 responses, you pick one. Again, it's human reinforced learning for intent detection. And then we get to the Gen AI-based bots, right? So we do basic navigation because they understand human intent and emotion, but they might not know specifically what they want. So I think we have intent and then advanced transactions. The next one is when the Gen AI bots really start coming in. Now, this is where they'll start replacing human agents, where they can do complex end-to-end transactions, and they can even replicate some of the back-end things like you were with, workplace business process optimization and those sort of things, right? And the final phase will be them replacing agents. Now, that doesn't mean agents disappear, but they could be doing a whole heap of different things. So that's how we think we go. How many of you think this is going to happen in the next decade, like where we are? Okay, how many of you think this is going to happen in the next 5 years? Okay, that's still 50%. How many about the next 2 years? Okay, that's interesting. Let's see who's right. So we had about 10% in the next 2 years, about 50, and about 80 in the next 10 years. So what's Cyara's role in this, right? So we founded the company in 2006. When we founded the company, DTMF IVRs were the bane of existence for a lot of customers, right? 70% dissatisfaction rates where customers didn't like pushing buttons to get the job done. And there was this new NLU-based, natural language-based IVR, right? Which people thought, hey, great, now I can just talk to this thing, it'll understand what I want to say, and I'll get what I want to get done. So we thought, great, let's build a SaaS-based platform that's going to help customers usher in this new technology, which is going to change people's lives. It's 2024, and DTMF IVR still exists today, right? And customers still love using them because they can get to the end by pressing in advance what they want to do without having to, waste their valuable voice and so forth. And guess what happened after that, right? So we added the ability to do natural language, held on to DTMF. Then we did agent testing because they're like, hey, we need to get the interaction from the IVR to an agent and do it seamlessly. We added chat testing. We pioneered the IVR crawler to make sure that you could map your IVR and drive a battery of tests rapidly. We created the first mobile app. We brought DevOps to CX. And now we are in the LLM space. And proud to announce that we have now got the LLM fact checker, which is great to test your LLM. Encourage you to attend Christoph's presentation tomorrow and see the demo. And we've also got Number Trust, which is a brand new innovation in this world of deep fakes, where people can bypass voice biometric systems and also check that companies are trying to scam customers, that enterprises know that they're contacting their customers and they can see their identity. So we're pioneering that. So I guess the takeaway is we've been here since 2006 as the industry changes, and I don't think advent of AI is going to replace all these other technologies that you have, not in the next 5 years anyway. So you're going to have to deliver a seamless handoff from one channel to another, right? And if you look at customers, what they hate the most is repeating the information once you finished up in a channel, going into another channel, because like, hey, haven't we all been there 30 minutes, I do everything, and then I get onto the contact center like, hey, so what are you interacting with us again? And that's a huge amount of customers. So we can change that, right? Because we have that ability to do so, and we can make sure that baton is passed seamlessly across. So just in conclusion, we've got an amazing team. I'm really proud of what they've built. It's amazing to be here, and no matter which stage of your journey you're at, whether you're out there deploying LLMs or you're still going on the journey at the start, you can count on Cyara to be there with you. So thank you very much.